Tonight we're reviewing The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 1, titled The Day Will Come When You Won't Be.
Oh, wow, this episode is this is the most fucked up episode they have in their entire series. Honestly, wow, I was not expecting the ones who were taken out were actually the ones that were going to die. My original thought was going to be Eugene until we seen the blood on his face, and then we noticed it was going to be on the opposite direction. But wow, which one was yours again?
My original thought was it was going to be Daryl, because my original thought process was it had to be somebody that was really going to pull on our heartstrings. It was going to be somebody that we've known since day one or in the first season. So I thought it was going to be Daryl, plus, a different spoilers and things like that. We're talking about taking out Rick's right-hand man, and that was Daryl. Or it could have been Michonne, but my original thought was it's going to be Daryl. It's going to be somebody who's going to have an impact on us. Now, in this episode, we do see that it is somebody who is going to make a huge impact on us.
You're right. It was definitely people that you're going to be like tugging at your damn heartstrings. Abraham, at the very, very beginning when this whole thing, I kind of thought, no, maybe, because it has to be somebody that could take a hit. So I really kind of thought, okay, it's going to be one of the heavy hitters in the group. And Abraham was definitely in that list of the heavy hitters.
So, our big question of the night that's been boiling for 6 months is who gets to meet Lucille up close and personal. This is honestly going to be what we're going to talk about for most of the rest of the episode, because it really does. One of them, we know this person. They've been around for a few seasons, but the other one, that one was a shocker. Complete shocker.
And like I was saying a second ago, we know one is Abraham. Abraham takes it, and he just gets back up like, I want some more kind of thing. We're ready to jump up and start fighting. And it was quite brutal. When he goes down the second time, he beats him completely, stupid like. And yeah, his last dying words were pretty damn funny. I did kind of forget about talking about that, about his suck my nuts. Definitely Abraham all the way. But when he's sitting there beating the shit out of him, it's just like brain matter. His brain pan was going everywhere. It was just like, okay, he's dead. Let's move on kind of thing. It was just almost too extreme how much he was just beating the shit out of his dead body.
So after Negan gets done beating the crap out of Abraham's skull, and Abraham, of course, is dead, he takes the bat, Lucille, over to the previous girlfriend and starts giving her all kinds of crap, and then Daryl gets tired of it. Everybody's crying. Daryl gets tired of it, pops up, punches Negan, and, of course, we remember Negan said if anybody moves, take the boy's eye out and feed it to his dad. Of course, that's not what happens, but Negan does come through on his promise that if anybody moves, cries, says anything, they're going to pay. That's how Negan runs. That's how his rules are.
He was right. He definitely did keep his promise. Now, he did make a comment, though, that he didn't know what kind of jerk-offs they were dealing with, but he keeps his promises. If you look at it, the other jerk-offs are right. They didn't honestly keep anything. They said what they're going to do, and then they didn't do it. This guy, he says he's going to do something, he freaking did it. And he just knocked Glenn in one hit. You can see the concave into his brain. It was just freaking nasty. His eyeballs poking out of his head. It kind of reminded me of Noah's death, how nasty and gruesome that one was.
This episode, this is the one that really is going to pull at our heartstrings a lot more than Abraham, just because Glenn's been around since the very beginning. Glenn's a central character. Glenn is supposed to die at this time. He's supposed to die by Lucille from Negan. So it is right, sticking with the comics, but it's still, even 6 months later, we all wanted to know exactly who was going to die, and we were all so mad because we didn't get to know that back 6 months ago. But I don't think anybody could have been prepared for tonight's episode with Glenn dying. Maggie, honestly, I have to give props to Maggie. I don't know what I would do in that situation, seeing her husband, her father's baby, just get his head bashed in and his eyeball popping out. And he's trying to tell Maggie that he loves her and profess all kinds of stuff to her, I'm sure, but he just can't get it out. He did get a little bit of it out. We heard Maggie and then some garble words, but it was a very sad death. I will say this death was so much worse than Herschel's death, and I think it's going to take a big toll on Maggie and the rest of the group.
Okay, now what we're going to do here is, she has her Facebook out, she's asking me kind of reading some people's comments, so let's actually get into those. Actually read a few of them, because some of them are pretty insightful, and some other ones are just kind of, rambling of crazy people.
So one of the people on Facebook that I've seen here, they first say that Walking Dead's awesome while they're drinking their coconut water, and then all of a sudden Glenn, of course, dies, gets bludgeoned to death, and they say, God damn it, and tears while mainlining gelato and hard root beer. So, that's really how this episode goes. We know that this is going to happen. It's really bad, but I don't think anybody was prepared for what was going to happen, and I really, truly don't. We all wanted to know, but nobody's prepared. Another one says that they're exhausted. A lot of them say that they're emotionally drained. It was brutal. So many tears and a stuffy nose. The episode was bullshit. All kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of talk on Facebook about it, between people that I know and other people. I'm sure Twitter's going crazy over it. I'm sure the internet, who knows, maybe we'll break the internet. Maybe this will break the internet. I don't know.
All right, well, let's jump down to the last part of, honestly, of this episode, is when Negan takes Rick out on a freaking test to basically pacify him, to prove to the point that he is dog shit now and Negan is the master. So, I mean, this was kind of a screwed up little test. I just kind of didn't see, honestly, the point in it. His final test, honestly, I kind of seen did more work than the other one that just wasted the resources. I believe this entire show has been a complete waste of resources. They could have easily taken them, beaten them down, and then gotten this thing done with instead of freaking, doing all of this work to try to more or less corner them into the woods.
The final test was honestly with Carl, to prove his point, Negan's point about Rick being submissive, honestly, to Negan and following exactly what Negan says. He pulls Carl over, draws a line across his middle forearm, and tells Rick that he has to chop off his son's arm because Rick is looking at him not in a submissive, but more like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you kind of look. So in order to prove that point, Negan wants him to chop off his son's arm. Luckily, that doesn't happen, but I don't think that Rick was ready to do it, and Carl told him just do it. Because if not, everybody in that line was going to die, and Rick would have died probably years later because that's how Negan is. He wants to prove his point. And I think that's also why he didn't kill Daryl for Daryl's mistake. He killed Glenn. So he didn't make Daryl pay for it. He's going to make Glenn pay for it because Glenn is going to hurt that group, losing Glenn, and then Daryl having to deal with it.
I'm thinking, honestly, in my final thoughts of this episode, Glenn, if you look at his entire past, he is the only one that has survived this long without any major maimings like all the rest of them that have lasted this long. There is basically, only 2 characters in this entire show left from the very beginning. So that's quite interesting to be able to see how the originals are being slowly chopped or beaten away. Now, wow, this episode was pretty messed up. That's about mainly the only words you could really honestly say about this episode to really encompass the just gruesome, fucked up part way of the episode, honestly.
My final thoughts on this episode, honestly, the biggest thing that everybody's going to be talking about is Glenn's death. This guy he's like a cat. He's had 9 lives. Was this his 10th life? Obviously, because he's gone. But he's been around since episode 1. We got to meet Glenn episode 1. And he has traveled with us through this entire journey. He's grown. He started out as a pizza delivery boy. And he became one of the most iconic and centered, honestly, he's very centered characters in this entire series. I don't know what the group's going to do without Glenn. I don't know how I'm going to feel after not seeing Glenn on any episodes. I'm sure we'll see flashbacks and things like that because Maggie will be thinking about him or somebody else will be thinking about him. But honestly, those are going to be flashbacks. I mean, I think honestly this one's going to hurt the viewers, the audience, the characters, everything way more than Herschel did.
Okay, guys, well, that's honestly about it until the next episode, really. But if you guys like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave those comments and theories down there. We definitely read them, and we'll get back with you guys next time.